Hello, my name is Irene Chukumbo from Zimbabwe, and I'm here to share my story. So, my story is from my participation in the Speaker Travel Grant that was facilitated by USAID. Um, and maybe just to give you some context before I go into the how the impact that the travel grant had on me and my work. I had a an idea around social entrepreneurship and how we can help young people take ownership and accountability for some of the social issues happening in their countries. And in this case, it was Zimbabwe. Um, and how, even though you're still initiating social projects, how can you create an enterprise around that? And I thought that was really important because um, we spent a lot of time looking for, for grant funding for things. How can we start building social enterprises in our countries? So it initially started off as an idea that I had, and I had been talking to the U.S. Embassy in Harare, and they thought the idea was interesting. So they gave me support to pilot and implement it. The exciting thing was the embassies in Zambia and Namibia also thought the concept was interesting and new, and they were willing to support it as well in their countries. So yeah, so I mean that's how the idea just got seeded, and it started to reach out to the beyond the borders of Zimbabwe. So for me, I applied for a speaker travel grant because I was going to facilitate a session on community ideation. Um, it's one of the things that I'd learned, and I thought it was something that's important for young social entrepreneurs to be exposed to. I think a lot of people or organizations have tendencies of imposing solutions on communities, and it was important for these young participants from the country, I think 20 from each country, could get the opportunity to learn some facilitation skills and practice on a community that's available to them. So with the travel grant, I traveled with a U.S. visiting facilitator in the art of hosting. And it's interesting to see how the impact of the travel grant infiltrated into various layers of not only myself, but the project as a whole, and hopefully contributing towards a movement. I learned a lot about myself. I think even though it was just we were traveling for about 8 days, um, I think there was definitely a lot of growth in myself, understanding how I work and how others see me, um, and that my idea wasn't as ridiculous as I thought it initially was. Second layer is the impact that it had amongst the 60 participants. The It was interesting to see how they were able to implement some of the things that we taught them, because immediately afterwards, some people went and practiced it within their working groups or their communities. They were tweeting about it and putting it on Facebook. So for me, it was good to see that there was some retention in what they had learned and some implementation, I think, which is very important. Um, Another good thing is that the session is something that reached to both urban and rural youth. People within the Yali network who didn't necessarily make it to the Mandela Washington Fellowship, but people who felt they needed that support as well. So it was good for us to not just take Africa to the US, but bring the US to Africa. So that was good, and some of those learnings were appreciated. The third layer was how in Namibia it was noticed that having sessions that have a different format had contributed to that impact or behavior modification. Usually, sessions focus around having one facilitator at the front, with a PowerPoint, and people kind of sitting in a classroom format. So it was good to have the participants kind of sit in a circle, and we addressed each other as equals. We managed to bring the embassy staff in as well, so it kind of changed the dynamics of how the participants engaged with, I guess, the organizers of the workshop. So Yeah, I think overall it had I would like to say it started having some kind of impact or a system of influence in how the participants and the embassies looked at the nature of workshops, understanding the importance of community ideation, for myself as well. Yes, as a leader, a young African leader, what the process of leadership actually looks like and inspiring others to action. So that's how the Speaker Travel Grant has impacted my life.